How do you increase the average revenue per client to $1,000 per month? Now, the reality is that the dollar amount that you're looking to increase to doesn't matter. The easiest place to start is to ask yourself, are you charging enough? Now, I personally am not a proponent of the idea of just raising prices for fun. I understand there are some people out there, they suggest that. I understand their logic. I don't necessarily disagree with their logic. I just don't personally like to do that. I've been part of groups where they did just raise their prices for fun, meaning every time there was a price increase, there wasn't anything extra that you got as for being a member of those organizations. Luckily, these particular organizations I'm talking about had a grandfathered in clause where whatever amount you joined the group at, that's the amount you could keep paying every year to stay a member. And I noticed that as I stayed in the group, because I was paying a smaller amount, the people who were coming in paying the higher amount, sometimes much higher, we're talking sometimes 10x more than what I'm paying, the group got a lot smaller. And doing the math of what people are paying, I can tell you the revenue for those organizations also got smaller. That's one of the reasons why I'm just not a fan of just doing it for fun. But if you are going to do it for fun and you follow that advice, please pay attention to how many people are saying no to you. If you're closing 100% of your clients, you're probably not charging enough. But if you're not closing a lot of your clients, of course, it could be a sales skill issue, but more than likely the price that you're asking for the value that's being perceived isn't enough. How do you determine that you're at least charging what the market charges? The first way is to stalk your competitors. Be a mystery shopper, call some of them up, go through the process, look at their websites, figure out how are they positioning it and what's their price point. You might learn something. That's a free game. I know we have people that do it to us. We've had people actually sign up for our services to see how we offer them, to see the tax strategies that our tax firms sell, so they can then teach it to other people. Like, it's just part of what it is. So stalking your competitors is one way to figure out market rate. And then another one that I like is joining a peer group so that you can talk to your peers and just ask them and find out, what are they charging? How do they do it? What do they offer for what they're charging? When you interact with your peers, you may find an increased level of confidence because you're going to see that there are people less qualified than you in your space who charge more than you do. If you discover that, that's almost a green light to just go ahead and raise your prices so that you're at least charging what someone who is less qualified than you is charging. The other way to look at how do I increase the average price a client pays me per month, or just increase the revenue per client, you got to create and deliver more value. Sometimes it's not just about the price. Sometimes it's about the type of client that you attract. We have a free baseline assessment that we've created that allows business owners to go through and get an idea of where they're at when it comes to pricing and quality of clients. It gives a whole bunch of action items a business owner can take to actually improve upon those things. So feel free to check out our free baseline assessment in the link below. But certainly you may have an issue that you might be attracting the wrong types of clients, which is why it's harder to get a higher dollar amount from them, because they just simply don't value what you're offering. And that's okay. You can offer something that's super valuable to somebody in a specific situation that isn't as valuable to somebody in a different situation. That's okay. You just want to make sure that you're actually attracting the right client that matches the service that you offer, that they're going to receive the maximum amount of value that you offer. When I'm looking at creating more value so that I can charge a higher price, I want to do it in a way where I'm not straining my capacity, especially to the point where I am needing to have my team work overtime. Obviously, this is on the 3.3 channel, and so I'm a big proponent of work-life harmony, whenever possible, avoiding overtime. Maybe with the more value you're going to offer, you do need to hire more team. If you do need to hire more team, you want to make sure that you're paying attention to what is the price increase you're going to be able to ask for compared to your cost increase. If my cost increases by, say, $4,000 a month to hire a new team member, and the new revenue only gets me $4,000 a month in additional revenue, that is a bad trade-off. A 1-to-1 ratio is not good. You need 2-to-1 at a minimum for to 1 as kind of like, cool, this is great. 3 to 1 obviously is better than 2 to 1, but 1 to 1, you're going to go bankrupt. 2 to 1, you're, I would say, barely breaking even. So what I mean by that is, if I hire a new team member and they cost me $4,000 a month, this price increase that I'm going to be doing across the board with my clients better be bringing in at least $8,000 a month in new revenue, but better if it's $12,000, and the goal should be at least $16,000. So that's what I mean, 4 times the cost. You want to make sure that you're positioning your price around the outcome and not necessarily the deliverable that they get. So like for a tax firm, for example, what is the outcome the client gets versus, hey, I'm going to raise your fee and I file your tax returns. The tax return is the deliverable. What's their outcome? Did they save a bunch of taxes through our strategies? That's an outcome. The outcome is going to be related to some sort of strategic transformation. If you can offer your clients a strategic transformation and position it that way, you're obviously creating more value. It's easier to ask for a higher price because you're creating more value versus simply just saying like, hey, we do compliance work. So strategic transformation over compliance work. And the next thing to consider is niching. There's a book that I really like that I read years ago called The Pumpkin Plan by Mike Michalowicz. It is a great book on the concept of niching. Being a niche expert allows you to charge more than someone who's just a generalist, because there's a lot of value that a niche expert can offer to clients that are in that niche that a generalist may not be able to offer. Now, how do you know what more to add? Meaning, what services should you be adding? What value should you be adding so that you can increase the prices? The first thing to do is to look at whatever price I'm trying to get to. Do I have any current clients who are actually paying that amount that I'm looking to do? Assuming you do, then you would compare what are they getting? What are the services offered to them? What is the value being created for them compared to those who aren't in that category? And whatever that difference is, that's a pretty good indication that other clients may enjoy that service, and that would allow you to charge more on average per client. Another way to do this is just ask your clients, do a poll. What more do you want from me? What additional value would you like me to create for you? Based on my services, where do you think you could benefit from additional services? Like something like that. That's going to help you understand and give you a pretty good idea of areas to focus on that you could throw into the mix so that you can create more value and therefore ask for a higher price. Through this whole process, it's super important that we always try to consider the consequences of our decision. As I look to add more value so that I can charge more to clients, how much bigger is my team going to need to be if I execute my plan? Am I going to lose any current clients? Is the plan to raise it on current clients? Is the plan to only offer the new value and higher pricing to brand new clients? But am I going to lose clients? So am I going to end up with fewer clients and the same revenue, fewer clients and less revenue, fewer clients and more revenue? All those are things that we want to consider because there's pros and cons. Having fewer clients but a lot more revenue, not bad. By providing these new services, is that going to make me happy? I think sometimes we get so stuck in just looking at the numbers or seeing what other people are doing, we don't actually pause long enough to ask ourselves, do I even want to add that as a service offering? I don't know if you're like me, but I definitely find myself having to push away FOMO or shiny objects, realizing that I just am better off focusing on fewer things. In fact, if you haven't heard of Alex Hermosi, he's a super successful business owner, sold a company called Gym Launch, started another company called acquisitions.com. When he had a gym, I think a dental practice and a chiropractic practice, don't quote me on that, but it was 3 relatively different businesses. He was working his tail off and he wasn't making any more money by having all those things. So him and his wife decided, well, maybe we should just focus on the thing that we're doing that's making us money. So they did that. And then they started making more money than they ever had in their life. And then the rest is history with his success, if you will. Adding these things may not be the right idea. So just really be honest with yourself. What is going to make you happy when you deliver it? And sometimes it's okay to just be really good at doing the thing that makes you the most amount of money and saying no to the other opportunities that sound exciting, but you don't have any experience with, and therefore maybe you're just going to spend time doing it and you don't make any extra money. With that consideration, maybe you like it, maybe it makes sense to add it. It's not going to make you happy to offer the added value that you're bringing to the table to be able to charge more. So then will you have team members do it? Which is totally great. There's things in our business that I don't like doing. So we have positions that do those things that I don't like doing. And then are there any new expenses that you can predict are going to happen because you're offering this additional value, providing this new service? You want to think through that so that you can forecast. Because again, a 1-to-1 ratio of price increase compared to cost increase is actually bad. 2-to-1 is the bare minimum of acceptance, but the goal you should be shooting for is 4-to-1. So 4 times the return on your cost. If I have $1,000 of additional costs, I want to see an additional $4,000 in revenue. That's what I'm shooting for. My last warning, which I've kind of already alluded to, but let me say it clearly. Do this, add the value so that you can charge prices. Do it because it's what you want to do. Don't do it because you heard it's what someone else is doing and they appear to be more successful than you are. 1, you don't actually know if they're more successful than you are. 2, even if they are more successful than you are, chances are, as a different individual than you are, they have different preferences and they like to do things that are different than what you like to do. Do it because you want to do it. I see just too often people make a change in their business offerings and they're miserable with the change because they didn't really sit down long enough to assess themselves and say, I actually don't want to do that. That's not going to make me happy. Now, I believe there are ways to create value that will match what makes you happy. So I believe you can find it. So go ahead and do that. I talked about this earlier, but if you want to figure out, where you are in terms of business health, what's your pricing like, what's your profitability like, are you attracting the right clients? We have created a free baseline assessment. You can click the link below. Again, it's free. And after you answer the questions, not only is it going to tell you where you're currently at so that you have a barometer for you to base future growth on, so you can say, oh, cool, I'm growing. But we also, based on where you fall into a categorization we called stressed, stretched, or streamlined, there are action items that we offer and we tell you in the free report that you could take to improve whatever part of the assessment that you're looking at. Click the link below. It's free. Look, it's going to take you 30 seconds. It's probably going to take you 10 minutes. Totally worth it. It's free. The value that we put into that thing, I probably should be charging for it. Hopefully you now have a better idea and at least a framework you can follow so that you can increase the average price you charge your clients. If that's $1,000 a month you're looking to increase to, great. If it's any other number, hopefully this framework helps. Remember, if you take breaks, you will go faster.